Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. More than 200 criminals received gun licenses between 2014 and 2017 in Jamaica, in spite of clear red flags. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 18th February 2022. Details when we return.
Conveniently located in the Grand Anne Shopping Centre, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Granaans will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Damning allegations from the Chief Executive Officer of Jamaica's Firearms Licensing Authority, the FLA, that between 2014 and 2017, over 200 criminals were approved for licenses to carry firearms in spite of warnings from the police. Shane Darling was speaking at a press conference to defend his name as head of that entity. More in this Vashon Brown TVJ News report.
My days of remaining silent are over. I am going to speak on every single matter.
The Chief Executive Officer to the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA, Shane Darling, at a press conference this afternoon, insisting that he wants to explain why there's a constant attack on his character and reputation. Mr. Darling says he joined the FLA in June 2017, and that's when he realized some people were getting gun licenses under questionable circumstances.
The first alert was raised in June, the same month that I joined the FLA, of a letter from a superintendent in Westmoreland outlining 2 pages of adverse finding on an individual that was involved in lotto scamming and gang activities who had secured a firearm license.
In August 2017, the entire board of directors of the FLA resigned amid the controversy over the issuance of gun permit to people of questionable character. Mr. Darling says after a review was carried out by MOCA and the FLA, it was discovered that hundreds of criminal elements from St. James, Manchester, Clarendon, Trelawney, and Westmoreland were getting gun licenses, although the police had warned against giving them firearms.
They range from convicted murderers, persons who had a conviction for illegal possession of firearm, robbery with aggravation, rape, drug trafficking, and let me state it categorically clear here, that those information were present on the file before the board granted the approval.
He also detailed the case of a man wanted in Mandeville, Manchester, for illegal possession of a firearm, who was later sentenced for the offense. Mr. Darling says the man was found in a car with an illegal firearm and pled guilty. He applied for a license, but his application was denied on the basis that he had a conviction and lied about it on his application.
That application was denied in 2014, August. Yet, without a new application or without any appeal being filed by the gentleman, the very said board granted him a license 3 months later.
Mr. Darling says his checks reveal that over 200 people with criminal traces were granted firearm licenses. He says the corruption at the FLA started from as far back as 2014. He says issues at the entity were brought to the National Security Ministry in 2015.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Nothing was done to characterize the issue at the FLA after that. In fact, it mushroomed among the staff.
Mocha, he argues, is aware of all these allegations, but he says people have not been arrested because individuals are unwilling to give evidence in court. But what has he been doing about the problem as CEO? He says some people have been fired while he has negotiated a separation package with others in an attempt to purge the entity. All these allegations from the CEO take us back to why people are trying, as he puts it, to tarnish his reputation.
During the period where persons were getting gun licenses under questionable circumstances, everybody made money from it. So the ranges made money because each time you attend on a range for training, you had to pay. The dealers made money because they were selling far more firearms and ammunition. The dealers, I'm aware, and several other persons have lobbied for my removal from the FLA.
Vashon Brown, TVJ News.
Complacency among mask wearing, travel, and indoor gathering created a great opportunity for Omicron of COVID-19 to spread as quickly as it has throughout the region and caused many deaths. This from PAHO's head, Clarissa Etienne, as she addressed PAHO's weekly press conference.
She said many countries are returning to just the way they were before.
Omicron overtook us. The variants spread more quickly than others, and we are dealing with a greater volume of cases than ever before. Unfortunately, as Omicron arrived, we didn't use all the tools that we had developed to slow the spread and prevent infections for the new kind of transmission patterns that Omicron presented. Too many places in our region remained just as they were before this wave. People relaxed their precautions, traveled and gathered and met indoors, often unmasked, creating opportunities for transmission. The truth is that the reduced public health measures were insufficient to reduce the scale of this wave.
Dr. Clarissa Etienne revealed that more than half of the deaths in the latest surge occurred in people over the age of 65, but many others occurred among those yet to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. She says unvaccinated people of all ages still fill up hospitals and ICU beds.
Many people in our region remain unprotected against COVID and have yet to receive life-saving vaccines. Unvaccinated people of all ages are still filling up our hospitals and ICU beds, and too many are succumbing to this virus. But today we have better tools to fight COVID, and countries have the experience that they need to control infections. Omicron has shown that the vaccines that we have at hand can protect most of us from severe illness and death. 14 countries and territories in our region have already immunized more than 70% of the eligible populations. We are on track to help other nations reach that mark, and we must continue to strive for equitable access so that we can reach everyone.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
St. Lucia has recorded its first pediatric death as a result of COVID-19. Solange Alfred of HTS News Force reports.
A dark day in the fight against COVID-19 as the virus claimed the life of the youngest victim since the start of the pandemic in St. Lucia. Children have, for the most part, been able to weather the viral disease and its symptoms, while seniors, people with underlying medical conditions, and immunocompromised systems have been pillared by the deadly respiratory illness. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belmar George on February 14th disclosed that a toddler had lost her battle with the virus.
St. Lucia has recorded the first COVID-19 pediatric death. A 3-year-old female child with serious underlying medical conditions from Babonneau was admitted at the respiratory hospital on January 27, 2022, and passed away on February 8, 2022. The Ministry of Health expresses sincere condolences to the family affected at this time.
The Bahamas' former Prime Minister has sought to set the record straight in response to the Director of Disaster, Alex Storr, after he criticized the former administration over its handling of post-Hurricane Dorian relief. More in this Eyewitness News report.
Dr. Minnis says Storr should watch his words as they go against the international community.
Basically trying to denigrate the government, saying the government had not managed or not collected the pledges, etc. When he does that, he denigrates the UN. It's the UN that had introduced the pledge. They managed the pledge. They were instrumental, and they were supporting the government. And those are programs that they do throughout the world when there's devastation. So it's not the government. So the chairman must be very careful when he denigrates the government. He's slapping the UN. I think it's stupid. You don't do that to an international organization. So Prime Minister needs to call these rookie politicians in so they would understand what they can say and what they cannot say. But you don't attack an international organization like the UN, believing that you're attacking the Bahamas when the Bahamas was not the one who set the program. The Bahamas was not the one who's monitoring the program. It's the UN. And he must also remember that immediately after the pledge conference that was organized by the UN, 1 month later, the world was struck with COVID.
Guyana's Ministry of Health has approved the use of self-testing kits in that English-speaking South American country, even though the results of the test will not be accepted for travel. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana has more.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, in his COVID-19 update today, revealed that persons will be allowed to import or purchase the self-testing kits, which allows them to follow the instructions and test themselves for COVID-19 at home. He said in the case of positive results, persons should report those results to the Ministry of Health as they isolate themselves at home. If they develop symptoms, they should seek medical help.
And there are some people who would buy the kits and would follow the guidance. But it's not widespread. And therefore, we don't see a big challenge. Now, with self-testing, it's a way of just, if you have any concern, to check to see whether you're positive or negative. So, first of all, I think not a lot of people would be doing it. And those who would be doing it, I think they would be responsible enough if they test positive to report it to our surveillance system.
The Minister of Health also added that once a positive result is presented to the Ministry of Health, then the ministry will decide on whether the person should undergo a second test, which will be administered by the ministry.
So if somebody would have used a self-testing kit and they're positive, they should report it so that we have them in our account.
In terms of international travel, the health minister warned that a self-test will not be accepted for outgoing or incoming passengers.
So self-testing is a concept that you have in different countries. Our travel requirements are very explicit. We're accepting an antigen test from a reputable institution where it's done, or a PCR test. There is something now called a rapid PCR, and we are also accepting that. So any of these three tests we're accepting. Home kit, somebody having a home kit and doing a test at home does not necessarily qualify or meet the requirements of travel. No country right now is accepting anybody who has tested themselves at home for travel. And we are not changing our guidelines.
There are a number of private facilities that have been approved by the government to administer COVID-19 testing. Results from those agencies are accepted for international travel. Guyana continues to see a decline in active COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations. There were 105 new cases recorded in the past 24 hours, with 3 additional deaths. The 3 latest fatalities were all unvaccinated.
Conveniently located in the Grand Anse Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Granance will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.